Second of all, the fact that the lyric, "remember when you hit the brakes too soon," is supposed to constitute as evidence for this blows my mind, because I feel like if you hit a person, you hit the brakes too late. Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. I like to post about books and music, mostly Taylor Swift. Today I'm doing a video that I believe was a request, but I can't remember who requested it. If that was you, please comment down below. Today we're basically going to be going through fan theories and rumors as they pertain to Taylor Swift, beginning with the more believable, innocent ones before getting straight into foolish, unhinged, potentially even harmful rumors. My intention with this video, first of course, is to introduce newer fans to the absolute wreck some of us are. The Easter eggs and fan theories are one of the most entertaining parts of being a Swiftie, and this has been going on for over a decade. So if you are new here, there may have been some things you might have missed, but also I must bring up the insane theories that have actually gained some traction. Not that many of them do, because I've seen a lot of toxicity in the fandom of people getting unreasonably angry at other Swifties for making lighthearted, casual remarks about Easter eggs to do with her music, which is literally why we're all here. Like, we have fun with it. Taylor has fun with it. Taylor has been through some serious shit, and some of you guys take it a little too far. When you attack another Swiftie for making a quick tweet, wondering if the color of her shoes at an event may have something to do with which re-recording is next, in the name of making her entire life about Easter eggs. If she really was that pressed about them, she'd stop doing them. Give her some credit. I don't think she's crying herself to sleep at night and wanting to quit making music all because her fans are getting excited over the color of her outfit. Like, that's just going to come with the territory of being a celebrity, especially a celebrity who has built an audience who loves her subtle clues that she's been proven to drop. It's also gross to me when I see Swifties blaming other Swifties for her inactivity because we're all too excited. When people are like, stop making everything an Easter egg, you're gonna make her not want to ever post again. Where have you been? Have you heard of Kanye West, the slut-shaming media, constant invasive speculation surrounding her relationship maybe? Let's not blame each other and let's give credit where credit is due. We have never been the reason. But a reason in the future could potentially be some of the unhinged theories. Mostly I only see this happening in the case that they are ever picked up by the mainstream media and weaponized against her in the masses. I'm going to go through 2.5 of these and discuss why they're problematic and which theories are harmless and fun and which theories you maybe shouldn't be fueling. Spoiler, the main factor really can be answered with the question, is this creepily intrusive on her private life and incredibly implausible and or straight up slanderous accusations? The fact this is positioned as the least unhinged one, this is a classic. This is one of my favorite instances of clownery. We literally identify each other by the phrase 5 holes in a fence. If you are unaware, this was a theory that quickly gained a lot of traction, mostly on Instagram back in 2019. Taylor was closing up the Reputation era, which was super dark looking, and she was revving up for the Lover era, which was a pastel dreamscape. Her Instagram started seeming rather intentional. She became really active all of a sudden, posting these gorgeous pastel shots, which were in huge contrast to her previous darker looking posts. Everyone decided that this was a countdown. There was a shot of her behind a fence, and it was all artsy, and the fence was really close to the lens, so you could see just 5 holes in the fence with Taylor peeking through. Then the next day, I believe she was on a staircase, and coincidentally, she was sitting on the 4th step up or down. You see where this is going. At a certain point, it started not lining up, and it ended up not being a countdown at all. But we were right in thinking that it meant something. Taylor later confirmed that these pictures were to change up her Instagram theme to transition into the Lover era. I really did believe it was a countdown. It was a short-lived theory since we believed something was 5 days away, so this literally only happened over the course of a few days before we were disproven. It was a beautiful time pre-COVID. Everyone was excited for this follow-up to such an iconic comeback, the Reputation album. Simpler times. I give this one a 5 out of 10 for plausibility because we were on the right track, just not in the right vehicle. I think it was kind of a 50-50 chance we'd be right, and I would definitely consider this one a harmless theory. This is another classic in my opinion. If you are unaware, when Taylor released Folklore, there was a misprint on one of the versions of Folklore, I believe. It said Woodvale in white fine print. People were talking about this the second Folklore dropped. I actually found an old Reddit thread, but it never actually gained any traction. The like 3 people who noticed theorized it was just some kind of code name for the Folklore project since it was so top secret, and she has been known to use code names for music videos before. Then Folklore's sister album Evermore surprise dropped, and this theory just caught on like wildfire. It seemed highly plausible for this to be an Easter egg for a complete trilogy of Folklore albums, with the 3rd one being titled Woodvale. She did drop some hints for Evermore, so it does check out that she might also do that for Woodvale. A lot of the merch released alongside these albums was red, blue, and green. I believe there was a 3rd cardigan, and people were convinced that it was going to drop sometime in the springtime, like March of 2021, and I was also convinced. 3 just seemed like such a perfect number that kept repeating in the themes and in the merch. This caught on to mainstream media outlets. Everyone and their mother wanted to know, but right after Evermore dropped, she did an interview where she disproved the Woodvale theory. She was like laughing about it in regret and did say that the original theory from July 2020 was the correct one. Woodvale was just a code name for the original Folklore album. That was when my faith started waning, but Woodvale, your faithless love's the only hoax I believe in. I was literally watching that interview like 2 inches away from the screen, analyzing her vocal inflection, her facial expressions, and her demeanor while disproving it. I still kind of thought maybe it would happen in March 2021, but I ended up just kind of giving up when the Fearless Taylor's version rollout started happening. I do love a good Woodvale theory to this day though, because if you have a Woodvale theory that has carried you this far into 2022 unwaveringly, I need to hear it. I'm all ears. Some Swifties don't feel the same though, and I have seen some people online getting attacked for holding out hope on Woodvale, which I think is stupid as hell. The rage follows the common theme of blaming fans for being the reason she takes breaks from social media. Sometimes people just need to take breaks from social media. It's not even like the majority of Woodvale theorists are even tied to some sort of expectation or are trying to pressure her into creating or releasing it. Like a lot of that, albeit dwindling population is just like, I'm holding out hope, I think it exists. And I think they only want it if it's there, like if it already exists. Or I've seen people calling Woodvale theorists ungrateful. It is literally just a theory about an album. Only in the Swiftie fandom will you find fans calling other fans ungrateful for saying, hey, this is what I think the next album will be, or I think this is an album that hasn't been released. You need to calm down. So I give this one an initial 8 out of 10 on plausibility. A lot of us were convinced for a minute there. At this point, I think the plausibility is like 1 out of 10. I'm sorry guys, but please do leave your Woodvale theories down in the comments. I love to see dedication, and I classify this theory as harmless. So this was the date that everyone thought would be the announcement of the next Taylor's version re-recording. The reasoning being the 13, of course. The I Bet You Think About Me music video had a cake that was covered in 13s and 26s. 13 weeks after that music video dropped, we got The Joker and the Queen. 26 weeks after that music video dropped would be May 13th, 2022. I know those numbers on that cake mean something, but I guess this is not what it meant. Now, my theory was that there would be an announcement and a date set for the next re-recorded album. A lot of other people were very expectant of multiple albums being not announced but dropped on that day. I think there is some validity to calling out people for being a little ungrateful here. I think people really attached themselves to this idea because it was never denied like Woodvale was, so we were all really strung along, and some people keep falling into the trap of thinking she is going to either do a surprise release or a double release for her re-recordings. Some thought that she would surprise release both Red and 1989 in November at the same time. Come on, can't we learn our lesson? So many of us would not like that because we want to relive each era and let each album have its moment to shine. The classic extended rollout period of both Fearless and Red was incredibly well received because it lets us hang out in that nostalgic era a little bit before the album is actually released. People love to cite the success of Folklore and Evermore as a reason that she should surprise drop all the re-recordings all at once. No one cares about a re-recording the way they care about a new album unless you're a Swiftie. It's comparing apples to oranges. She needs to think about overall success and awareness of these re-recordings. The reason her re-recordings have been record-breakingly successful thus far is because of her genius marketing and the extended rollout periods. The others will follow the same formula because if it's not broke, you don't fix it. I give this one a 6 out of 10 on plausibility. The cake explanation seemed legit. This theory was rooted in something. However, I wasn't too surprised nothing happened since she seems to be incredibly stuck in lawsuits right now. That's something a lot of us didn't consider. I think some of her plans got derailed, honestly. It might have been the plan to announce something on May 13th. I'm still a hardcore believer in the Coney Island Bridge theory of the order of re-recordings. I'm just going to put that on the screen right now to briefly explain it without getting too into it. So I did think an announcement for Speak Now Taylor's version was going to come on May 13th, and that's really not that far-fetched of a theory, and I would classify this theory as harmless because it's just a theory about an announcement. Of course, a minority of us might have gotten way too invested and taken it too far and hurt themselves in the process, but overall, we all moved on, and it was just a fun guess. So this is a theory some people have had for a while, that Taylor travels out of her apartment by suitcase in order to avoid paparazzi. Some of the evidence to support this are images like these. She's been known to walk backwards to avoid paparazzi, cover herself with an umbrella as seen in the Miss Americana movie, and she has every right to do that. Sometimes it's just not the vibe to have a bunch of cameras in your face, but several shots surfaced of some men moving a large suitcase out of her properties, and people are wondering if Taylor is inside those suitcases to avoid pictures. Fun fact, I am exactly the same height as Taylor. Maybe you guys can figure out what kind of suitcase this is. I know you'll be able to. I'll research the dimensions, I'll buy a similar one, and then I will try to fold me and my long legs inside of one to confirm or deny whether it is possible. Future video idea maybe? Also, Zayn Malik may have confirmed this. I would love Taylor to just come out and confirm this because it's not going to blow her cover in any way. The goal of this travel method would still be achieved even if everybody knows she's in there, because the paparazzi still wouldn't be able to get pictures. It would just be very fun for the fans to know. With Taylor's track record and Zayn's confirmation, I do rate this one an 8 out of 10 on plausibility. This could definitely be happening as long as she could actually find a Taylor-sized suitcase. I could see it. Maybe even 9 out of 10. Honestly, Taylor should just come out and confirm this so I can just say 10 out of 10. And while usually exposing celebrities' disguises for hiding from the paparazzi and blowing their cover is kind of lame because then their goal of throwing off the paparazzi is no longer achievable, that's not possible in this scenario. No one's ever gonna really know what's inside these specific suitcases. Even if she does confirm it, she has security, no one's gonna be busting it open. She stays safe and unseen inside her little box, so I do classify this one as harmless. Okay, I could make an entire video about this theory, so I'm going to try to keep this brief. This is the theory that there is a forgotten album between 1989 and Reputation that was written during her extended 3-year break. Lots of us believe the Bleachella era would have coincided with this album since she completely changed up her style as she usually does for album releases. There's tons of evidence in the Look What You Made Me Do music video. Specifically for me, it's the cutting off the wings during the ending scene. I think the airplane symbolizes this forgotten album that we've all kind of decided to call Karma. She had to cut off its wings when the 2016 fiasco happened because she needed to address her reputation. So the album got shelved. She spray paints Reputation over it. So TS6 now becomes Reputation instead of Karma. Also in the Man music video, she has all of her album names written on this wall and the word Karma is on there, but Karma is obviously not a released album. A lot of people think it's a completely finalized album. Personally, I think it wasn't close to being done by the time she decided she was going to make Reputation. Instead, I think maybe it had like 75% of the songs and a general idea and maybe even some artwork. I have a feeling some of its songs did get moved onto Reputation because both Karma and Reputation seem like they would be somewhat similar in sound, with the similar edginess of Bleachella being such a rock reminiscent look, and Taylor had been hinting at a more rock sound for a while with the rock cover of We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together on the 1988 1989 tour. She also had kind of a darker sound and look for I Don't Want to Live Forever from the 50 Shades soundtrack. There was a music video. It's definitely a little angstier than what we were used to. I think it would have been even darker in sound than Reputation. I also think this is where the Calvin songs would be. And lastly, I'm not going to go too much into this, but one of the songwriters from So It Goes revealed he and Taylor actually wrote the song in 2015. I believe So It Goes is one of those songs that was moved from Karma to Reputation and maybe was about Harry Styles or Calvin or someone other than Joe, since she had not met Joe at that point. There might have even been some other songs that were originally about someone else, but she might have changed some lines up to be a little more reflective of Joe to give the song a new life on Reputation, since Reputation had very strict themes of her reputation contrasted with who she truly is, like with Joe. I bet a lot of Karma matches the musical vibes of Reputation. Some people speculate that it will be released during this re-recording era that we are in, or maybe it would be divided up into vault tracks between 1989 and Reputation and we will just be none the wiser. But I do think a large cohesive body of work written between 1989 and Reputation does exist, and I do kind of think it would be called Karma. I think this is pretty probable. It's come up way too much and I haven't even given a comprehensive list of all of the evidence. This is maybe an 8 out of 10 on probability. I think we're on the right track, but maybe getting some specifics wrong, and I would classify this as a harmless theory. And also one of my favorite ones. I do love a good secret album theory, obviously. Okay, so now we're getting into shit that's really unhinged. This is crazy and everyone needs to know of its existence. Back before Lover dropped, there was this huge mural that showed up in Nashville of butterfly wings that were super colorful, and there were some cats inside the wings. It was completely unconnected to Taylor Swift for weeks, I believe, and a bunch of Swifties were like, this has something to do with Taylor Swift. And everyone was like, what the hell are you smoking? And then suddenly Taylor shows up at the mural and they finish it off by painting the caption "Me" over it, and a bunch of fans who held out on their suspicions got to meet her. This was the most incredible instance of us not being clowns. Even I didn't believe this one because literally what the hell? There was no prior connection and we were right. This never happens and we will never let anyone forget that this happened. Initially I would have rated this a 1 out of 10 on probability because my god, but now it's obviously a 10 out of 10 because it was literally real and I classify this one as harmless. Okay, now we're getting into some controversial and potentially uncomfortable fan theories. There has been a theory among self-dubbed gaylors for a while now that Taylor Swift is actually gay or at least bisexual. Those that like to shut down these theories are referred to as hetlers, heterosexual. The thing is, I think at its core, this theory is pretty harmless. Considering from what I've seen of it, it's just a bunch of TikTok creators who like to make fruity connections in her songs and connect the lyrics to different women she might have dated. Whenever I see such backlash to this, I'm always a little bit confused as someone who has been here since debut and literally analyzed all of her hidden lyric messages as a child with my mom to figure out which boy she was writing about. She fed into this completely back in the day, like it was fully her marketing tactic. Fans still really like to play detective and try to figure out who her songs are about, even if she's kind of divorced herself from this method of marketing. But there is no denying that the foundations of the Swiftie fandom are built on lyrical speculation. And I truly think it was innocent enough for several album cycles, all the way up until Reputation, where she got sick of the media getting a hold of this fun little thing she had going on with her fans and using it as ammunition to slut shame her or deny her talent because she has living, breathing muses. All she does is write songs about her exes. How many songs have you written about anything, Sharon? And she was able to successfully pivot this lyrical speculation that her entire audience is built on flawlessly into fictional storylines with the creation of Folklore and Evermore. So she's done a really wonderful thing in being able to like have her cake and eat it too. Of course, her past works will always be poured over and people will know that most of these songs were written from real life experience, but we're all starting to kind of take into consideration that some of her even past work may have been inspired by fictional scenarios. It may have been about multiple people but portrayed as one person in the song. And I think we know going forward that her songs can have multiple or even fictional meanings. Writing a song is an act that is so separate from its inspiration. You can take creative liberties and completely make details or even whole muses up. And I have seen some videos still speculating on who different songs on Fearless or Red are about, since those were largely autobiographical, and Taylor knows this behavior will resurface as she re-records her past work. It's tradition at this point, it happens, and I don't think she really cares, and largely fans are not attacking other fans for making analytical TikToks about songs inspired by Jake Gyllenhaal. It's when people start speculating that songs are about Carly Kloss or Diana Agron, I think her name is, and showing their lyrical reasoning behind thinking this that people really seem to lose their shit. How is it any worse than speculating which men she's writing about? Your homophobia is showing. I'm sorry, sis. These videos are so interesting to watch even if I don't have an opinion on whether Taylor is straight or bisexual. Personally, I don't care, but I could see why some LGBTQ people might, because it would be iconic to have the world's most successful pop star be part of your community. I find them just as fascinating as all of the lyrical analyzations of Folklore and Evermore, where people come up with all these connections and fictional characters that are in this universe. It's all just fun, and I really love seeing how someone can interpret a song to be more relatable to them by theorizing that the muse is a woman. Let people have their fun. Literally the only problem I see with Gaylor is when they are so convinced that Taylor is gay that they start putting so much energy into trying to disprove her relationship with Joe and saying it only exists just to like help her hide her sexuality. This is a relationship that she has tried hiding for as long as possible. If anything, there might have been other distractions that she was trying to push forward in the media to hide Joe. I think it's a bit disrespectful and dismissive. She may come out as bisexual someday, she may not. She should never feel pressured to just for the sake of being your representative in the LGBTQ community within the music industry. She may not be ready for that. Like, sometimes people don't want their sexuality to be a political statement. They just want to exist. It really sucks that just being gay is a political statement, but it is. It would help a lot of people, but I also see how it could potentially give her a lot of unwanted attention, and I don't think we really have a right to know. I just hope that if it's true, one day she does feel comfortable to live her truth and the world only becomes more and more accepting of people who may be in a position like that. So I feel like this one is kind of 50-50 on probability. I definitely don't think she's gay. She loves dating men. Her love for Joe is undeniable. Of course, sexuality is fluid and you can date men and then later realize you're gay, but I just don't see it in this case. I think there is a slight chance she's bisexual. I feel like we maybe have a 4 out of 10 chance on being correct here. I just don't see it personally, even with all her close female friendships, but I do love the lyrical English teacher-esque theories, so do keep them coming. And overall, I think this theory is harmless, but you do need to be careful not to take it too far. It can definitely flip over to harmful once you start dismissing and disrespecting her relationship that she finally has let us into a little bit. I don't want her to regret that. Okay, now we're getting into super uncomfortable. Okay, so back when Taylor did that interview talking about Evermore right after it dropped, she was talking with her hands a lot and unintentionally made a sign with her hand that signifies to others, "Help, I am in a situation involving abuse." This theory, I believe, originated on TikTok amongst kids who just wanted views. But of course, once the Swifties saw it, a lot of us were becoming concerned. I was getting a lot of messages from you guys asking me my thoughts, and I didn't know the full story for a bit, so right when I saw it, I thought, oh shit, is this like Britney all over again? My mind immediately went to all the times she's dealt with stalkers, and I was concerned maybe something was becoming unsafe with those stalkers. Similar things have happened before where people were joking that Britney was in trouble and they were telling her, hey, wear a yellow shirt in the next video if you need help, and she did so, and we all know where that led. It quickly wasn't a joke anymore. However, when you think about something like this for longer than a couple minutes, if there was a stalker situation happening during this interview, she would have ended the interview, got up, called police, called her security. She wouldn't be making a hand signal like this on a pre-recorded interview. It seemed like immediate danger to me, which is implausible for her to respond in this way. I guess it could have been something more similar to Britney in the sense of really controlling management, but no prior suspicions were ever made. Taylor's incredibly supportive family largely has a part on her team. She has a great relationship with her longtime publicist, as seen in Miss Americana. No one ever would have guessed she was being taken advantage of, and it's pretty unlikely. The context of doing it during an interview too is just really whack, but I was wondering why everyone was so appalled and trying to shut this down so fast, because I feel like that's not that slanderous of a suspicion to wonder if someone on her team is maybe controlling her or she's dealing with stalkers again. And that's when I realized that people were literally suspecting Joe of abusing her. I was so shocked when I realized that's the conclusion that people were coming to. Like, he did not even cross my mind once, but for some reason that was the only possibility I saw people online talking about. And I guess I'll go into why that's incredibly unlikely. First of all, while the man being the abuser is more common in heterosexual relationships, Taylor is older than Joe, not the other way around, so there's no power imbalance over her in that way. But we also need to consider just how much richer Taylor is than Joe. She is in an incredibly able position to seek out help. A lot of the time when people don't leave their abuser, it is for financial reasons, so there's that power imbalance again skewed in Taylor's favor. Of course, these things do happen. Some people can be incredibly manipulative to victims who are both older and wealthier than them. But still, the fact that that's the conclusion that people jump to, I was like, do you guys even think about these things for longer than 10 seconds? The girl literally has a private jet she can escape on when he can't even afford a paper ring. Why would this be her method of seeking help? It wouldn't. It was Unhinged, and we are all incredibly lucky that mainstream media did not pick this up, because that definitely sounds like something that she would distance herself from the public over. As far as the conclusion most fans came to, I would say that is a 0 out of 10 on plausibility, and even the one I briefly suspected is maybe like a 2 out of 10 at most, even with a piece of shit like Scooter on her tail. And we never heard about it again, and she never had any other instances of strange behavior, so I would consider this correct. Taylor Swift is not in a dangerous situation. I would consider this one harmful. People really needed to think about this for longer than 60 seconds before panic tweeting about it and spreading this around. Welcome to the worst one. I'm really glad I didn't start off with the worst ones because I'm like getting exhausted. God, I long for the days before I knew about this theory. Basically, people believe the accident that happens in Out of the Woods led to the death of a pedestrian that Taylor and Harry both covered up. Yes, people actually believe they ran over and killed someone in their snowmobile. We have to remember it was a snowmobile, it was not a car, and left him for dead. First of all, where's the body? We need to connect this to a missing person. Second of all, the fact that the lyric, "remember when you hit the brakes too soon," is supposed to constitute as evidence for this blows my mind, because I feel like if you hit a person, you hit the brakes too late. Also, the release of No Body, No Crime fueled these fires even more, unfortunately. There's a lot of call-outs on 1989 about how bad of a driver Harry is, but to be fair to him, she calls like every man a bad driver. Jake Gyllenhaal almost ran the red. She starts dating Joe and says, "We can follow the sparks. I'll drive." She learned her lesson. But I don't believe any of these men killed anyone. The evidence is just insane. I found a whole PowerPoint presentation on it the other night. I don't recommend it. It's basically just lyrical evidence. These are fans running with this theory, and I can't tell if it's a joke. Okay, so most of the reading up on this theory that I did was done through Reddit, so I was not able to tell like what a poster's tone is, obviously through text. I did watch a few TikTok videos on this after filming, and those seem to be a joke. I mean, it's a very like dry, sarcastic type of humor. I feel a little bit less strongly about this now, but I'm still going to leave in everything I filmed. Maybe it's a joke, I really don't know. Those Reddit threads seem dead serious to me. As always though, leave your own thoughts down in the comments. Do you really think she's not the type of person to feel bad about this and come clean? Depending on the circumstances, they might not even be at complete fault if this guy is like wandering around in a place where only snowmobiles are supposed to be. Their repercussions might not even be worth the cover-up. Also, Taylor would be an accomplice if she ran. Are there Swifties out there who genuinely believe with every fiber of their being that Taylor left a man for dead and they still wholeheartedly support her? And do you really think she's dropping hints about this in song lyrics and never letting anything slip in interviews or otherwise? Why would they go to the hospital if they just killed someone? Like, they're literally admitting to the hospital staff that they had an accident. Police are gonna put 2 and 2 together. I can't imagine them hiding a body while Harry is literally in need of stitches. It's also sad to me that they kept this a secret for 2 years, like probably because of shit like this, genuinely. This is truly why we can't have nice things. I can't believe I feel like I have to be out here trying to disprove this. List of things I didn't expect to be doing on a Thursday night. Also, now I'll need to do some research on if anyone has ever even been killed by being run over a snowmobile. I don't want to live on this planet anymore, and I'm done after this theory because I've had enough. This is a 0 out of 10 on probability, and it's definitely considered harmful. This is literally slander with no evidence, like defamation. Innocent until proven guilty unless you're a Swiftie who suddenly decides you hate her, I guess. I don't even understand the motive behind this conspiracy theory. Please let me know down below which Taylor Swift theories, rumors, and Easter eggs are your favorites and least favorites. There are definitely some rough ones on here and probably elsewhere that are unfortunate, but Taylor is pretty lucky when it comes to celebrity conspiracy theories, especially ones that have actually gained some sort of traction, especially when looking at celebrities like Avril Lavigne, who people don't believe is actually Avril Lavigne. If you'd like a part 2, also let me know down below, especially if you have ones that I did not include today. This can be a fun fun little collaborative efforts if this turns into a series. Let me know your thoughts on all of this down below, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Please do leave me any requests down in the comments. If you want to follow me on my Instagram, it is right here, and if you want to follow me on my TikTok, that is right here. I will see you all next week for another video, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye guys.